Cool. Make sure it's up and running. And it is. Go ahead and approve that in. All righty, ladies. Well, let's go ahead. I'm going to record it to the cloud. I am totally in control. So I have these fabulous women on here with me. Mina over here in the corner, Ayurvedic doctor. Glad to have her here with me on my call. And Dara Hinshaw, who is also here helping me in the background with conversations, questions, making sure that I don't miss any questions or anything in the links. So there we go. Let me go ahead and chat there. So I'm in control. So I was supposed to, let it over, let them help me with that, but that last minute control came in place. So how does it get any better than that? So let's go ahead, and before we get started, I'm going to have us do just a little body connection here. I'm going to pin myself. I would love for you, before we get started, here's your hands, find your hands, rub them together. And I would like for you, this is one of my favorite grounding techniques, is just put your hands on your face. Take a deep breath. And then what I want you to do is I want you to turn the energy. I want you to feel your face on your hands. So you feel your hands on your face, and then your face on your hands. Take a deep breath. And that is what energy is all about. So there we go. All right, so that brought the energy of the group completely down. And that's what I want us to be here, be in our bodies. And why don't you go ahead and let me know where are you from? And we're going to do a lot of our communication today in the comments so that I can get through everything. And this recording will be going out to everybody. Where are you from? I'm in San Diego, California. We've got Texas, New Mexico, gotta love it. And Australia, Mitch, glad to have you. And if you are willing, this is a call for women in recovery. It could be for anybody because the topic is universal when we're talking about energy and the things that in Toronto, Canada, of so forth. But I really wanted to have a space where I could strictly talk to women about recovery. So if you're willing, would you put into the comments if you're in a recovery program, if you've been in and out of recovery program, what's your recovery program of choice? I qualify for almost every one of them. And I have been in most of them 12-step-wise over my past 30 years of my recovery journey. So if you just want to share, are you in, is it food? Hello for me on that. OA, I just blanked out. Any substance abuse, Debtors Anonymous, Al-Anon has saved my life. So it just kind of expand of like where you are in your recovery. Okay, so alcohol recovery, just 5 months. Woo-hoo! Mitch, glad to have you. Mitch, is that your right name? Am I saying it right? Mitch? Okay, cool. Wonderful. You're very courageous, all of you, to show up, because something that we're doing here is we're talking about, I'm going to talk and share about my journey of 33 years in recovery, which started in OA and AA. But the energy element of recovery that it's just missed. And we're going to explore that a little bit more. So with that, let me go ahead and share my screen, and we're going to go into my slides, and we're going to have some fun. This is the first time I have done PowerPoint. I usually do something else, but I did make my first. Let's see. Okay, my fabulous Nina and Dara, do I look good? Can you see my slides and see me? Okay, right on. All righty. So I also have diagnosed ADHD. And so I really do enjoy slides because they keep me on track. And I love to talk and I love to share. So I will use these as a particular thing for me as well to get my point across. So we are here for recovery with more ease / recover, just slash more ease in your life. Okay. So I can't see the chat box right now, but the girls will be running that and answering some questions just the way that I've opened it up. So here we go. So again, all your projections and expectations that you have of this class, what you're supposed to get, what you're not supposed to get, what's possible, would you just allow that projection and expectations, which are our number one thing that we do that stick us and everything, and just let those just drop right now? Because if we have an expectation and projection of what you think you're going to get from this class, it cuts off all the possibilities of something even greater. Okay. Because your projection and expectation, whatever that is the only thing that's going to fit in your reality. And we would like it to be bigger and bigger and bigger. So with that, you've worked hard on your recovery, yet inside you're still struggling with self-doubt, self-judgment, lack of confidence in both your life and business. And despite all of your efforts of the life you're living, it just isn't bringing you the quality of happiness that you know is available in long-term recovery. And when you're in new recovery, it's a kind of a different animal in the sense it has different energy. When you're new, you're just getting it. You're just showing up, you're just doing it. And long-term recovery has the tools down. But you might still be just functioning from a lot of your thoughts, your feelings and emotions. And that's kind of where we really hook ourselves up and don't have the ease that's possible. So we're going to talk about that. So deep down inside, you know that there's more for you. And now it's time to learn how to welcome the energy of ease into your life. All righty, over this little 90 minutes of time that I have with you, here's what we're set up for. 90 minutes of fun and transformation. Okay. And the work that I do as an intuitive transformational coach is we're doing energy work right now. So you will be different than you were when you got on the call. That's how energy works. Okay. So be open to that space of like, I wonder how much I can receive with ease of transformation and new experiences and new conversations and new awarenesses, that if this is all you do, you're already different because you showed up for you and for consciousness. We're going to go over a little slide, time to heal at the roots. We're going to talk about the importance of healing at the root. We're going to talk about energetic addictions, one of my favorite. Then we'll kind of do my 4 A's for conscious recovery. These are my 3 points. And then choose consciousness and embrace ease. And then I'll tell you a couple success stories. And then I'll tell you what special thing I have at the end for you and a quiz that's available. And then to talk and chat about some more possibilities. Okay, here we go. If I really wish that I could see the chat, but I can't. So girls, Mina or Dara, if you see anything and I'm not, would you just please just say, hey, somebody has a question. Okay, cool. So about me, hello, I am Lynnae Velasquez, and welcome to my world where holistic recovery, energetics, and consciousness come together. Okay, that's what I'm trying to spread more awareness with, is the holistic part of our recovery. I'm a 12-stepper. I got clean and sober in 12-step rooms 33 years ago. I still go to 12-step meetings. There's magic and wonder that happens in those meetings. But what I am embracing and have brought together in my coaching in the last 5 years is the holistic recovery, body, mind, and spirit, and then the energetics of what we're being and consciousness together. I'm an intuitive transformational coach. I am a clairvoyant. I do see energy. That is part of the gifts that I have that I share with my clients. And it's taken a heck of a long time to be very public with that. So that's been part of my journey, is to like show up for who I am. Over the last 3 decades, like I said, of navigating my life's challenges, 23 years in network marketing. So just so you guys can know a little bit about me, I was in network marketing for 23. I've been in corporate America for years before, and then went into network marketing to help women create successful businesses. And I left that 5 years ago at the top of my game because I really was seeing a missing piece. Most women needed some form of recovery and help. And I could see whether they were going to be successful or not immediately based on what they were willing to choose. And so that was my time to lay down a 22-year career at the top to go in where I could help people who really wanted to have that change. So throughout my journey, I have overcome adversity. That's an understatement. So any of you who have been in recovery and on the journey for a while, adversity is just like a simple word compared to what you have been through. So if you would take a moment, all of us on the call, and just acknowledge, seriously, take a breath, acknowledge where and who and what you are right now. All that you've done, seriously, to get to this present moment. So all the adverse, all of it. We don't have to go there right now, but just this present moment of like, hello, I am here for something new and something more expansive. So my recovery does include 33 years. I got into AA. OA was how I landed in AA at 75 pounds as a regional vice president of a mortgage company. I went in because my family did an intervention on me with my eating disorder, but my therapist at that time, brilliant 30 years ago, would not work with me until I stopped drinking and using. And I stayed with her for almost 10 years. I have been in Debtors Anonymous. It saved my money, and 20 years of Al-Anon, because I have two boys, 20, almost 23 next week, and 27. One's a recovering addict, and both of them are active alcoholics. So there we go with that. 2 abusive, narcissistic marriages. Gotta love all of that, and having affairs and all that good stuff, but stayed sober, and going through financial ruin, and all of it sober. And here I am today. So obviously these experiences have shaped my understanding and what is required to go from survival to thrival. And that in itself, the thrival energy, has really been something that's really grown in my recovery. What I don't mention here, which I think is kind of important to know a little bit, is that I'm just going to keep it in the screen share so you can see it, is that I also did healing work. I'm a holistic health practitioner. I had a massage business for 12 years and so forth. So energy work has always been part of my life, part of my recovery, but then it's really grouped back into my life. So that's the holistic part. So I firmly believe that your past does not define you, no matter where you are now. There is nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with any of us, just like this little song. We may be different, but there ain't nothing wrong with us. So let's move past our blocks, make some new choices, and claim your personal power. And I'm here to teach you to learn energetic mastery to facilitate your transformation. All righty, everybody good? Good. Okay. So this is my favorite picture. Let me move this down here and let me see this. This is called the addiction tree. Don't get too excited, but I get kind of excited when I see it. I qualified for 19 branches. So you could count and see. I don't know if you guys can see it well, and it's not a matter of that you qualified or you don't, but I do have 17 of those branches. But what I want us all to know right now is that there is nothing wrong with us. We're here today, and my work is about teaching us to be aware of things that we didn't know. And when we become aware of things instead of judgment of what's wrong with us, we can heal them. So activity addictions, crime, gambling, buying and spending, exercise, I got both of those, and work. Those are addictions that I still, in my own little way, kind of work with them. Substance abuse, alcohol, drugs, nicotine, caffeine, and food, all of those, thank you very much. People addictions, relationships, love and sex, codependency. Feelings and addictions, this is kind of where we're going to go a little bit today. The thoughts, the feelings, and the emotions, anger, rage, guilt, fear, doubt, these lower energies, these lower harmonics, which I'm going to talk about, where when we come into whatever kind of recovery it is, at least for me, I didn't even have a definition of what a feeling was. I just knew everything was too much, and I needed to cut off all the feelings that I was having. So then I got into recovery, and it was all about learning about my feelings and so forth. And then about 25 years in my recovery, I said to myself in a meeting, it's clear as yesterday, when am I going to stop allowing my feelings and my emotions to stop controlling my life? Because they had just taken over. I was now in thoughts and feelings and emotions 24/7. And that's where I am very passionate about teaching us earlier in our sobriety, in our recovery, that there's a balance there. Okay, so then thought addictions is perfectionism. What else? Obsessive thinking, rigid thinking, repetition, worrying, and fantasy. Okay. Does anybody have any of those? I wish I could see that. You can hold your fingers up for me right now. Do you like have 1, 2, 3, any of them? You could even shout out to me. Does anybody give me a number? You can come on live with me. I know Mitch is looking for the button.
I didn't count them all, but several. Yes.
Okay. Okay. How does it get any better than that? Very
And
cool.
different branches, and I've never seen it like this. So this is really I took a screenshot because this is really a beautiful place as I'm gaining more consciousness to look at those things. So
cool.
It's powerful.
It's great. And the main thing here is that what in this picture that I do like is the roots. We're healing in the roots. That's the work I do. And that's what I'm going to teach you more about, as whatever I can get across today is healing from the root. When we get new into recovery, we're just healing. We're going through the process. There's the steps, the work, a lot of times therapy is needed, obviously, at the very beginning. I needed that. Okay. But then I got to a point, it's like, okay, I need to start healing the energetics of what's going on here, because everything is looped in to the energetics of who we are. So it's healing at the roots. Mitch, were you able to come on? Did you want to share a number?
Lynnae, she wrote in the chat, Mitch said 9, and Artie said, sure, I definitely can go into thinking without self-care.
Okay, cool. There. I love it. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Thank you, ladies. Okay, so let's take a deep breath and let's talk about energetic addictions. So let's look at the screen for a second, and I'll go through it, and then I will give you some of my perspective, my teaching on this. Is anytime you spend time, if you spend time in any of these ongoing energies and you cannot pivot out of them easily, they're called energetic addictions. Mina had mentioned in a call I just did, she's an Ayurvedic doctor, and we do a very similar work. She called them mental addictions. Okay. I'm looking at them from an energy standpoint, but the same thing. And they're underlining. If we're not addressing the energetics of who we be, we're missing some of the potency of what's keeping us stuck and what's not allowing us to have the ease that's possible. Okay. When it comes to looking at these 12, there's 22 of them actually that I work with clients. But I gave you 12 just to look at, is that none of these are actually you. Okay. None of these are actually you. I'll get into that in a minute and explain why your thoughts, 98%, 95 to 98% of your thoughts do not belong to you. This is where the energetic mastery comes in, and I'll get to that. But if you are stuck in every day, annoyed, angry, anxious, boredom, any of these, expectations, disappointment, judgment, that judgment is my judgment is my thing. Internal was my thing, still working with it. Exhaustion, fear, overwhelm, struggle, and frustration. Put in the chat for me which one. You could just put the number 1, 3, or 4. Again, how many of these are you aware of on your daily awareness that you keep finding yourself go into? I've got all this sobriety, all this recovery. I have one hell of a program that I've worked, and I have not stopped personal work in regards to having a coach, having a mentor for 33 years. I've never done where I've gotten ever alone. That is just something, if left to my own devices, I just choose to always have a mentor, a coach, or something in my path so that I can catch myself. These things are all on autopilot. They're underneath. Okay. So I know that I'm talking to a couple different audience levels here. I'm talking to some very experienced. I'm talking to some of us who have a lot of recovery. I'm talking to fabulous people who have just a little bit of recovery. Okay. So allowing that space that if you're doing your step work in recovery, that we do that. We get those 12 steps. I'm a real supporter of that, of getting that work done. But as you go along, these things are going to pop up, and all of a sudden it's like we call it looping. It's called PTSD. This is energy. Anywhere you're PTSDing, mine is judgment. I have this thing that was inside of me all the time, no matter how good things were, no matter how things are, no matter anything, how good life has gotten, there's this underlining buzz always of judgment. So, and they kept me stuck, keeps me stuck. And it's like, no matter what work I did, no matter what therapy, whatever, I couldn't really clear it and release it until I started to work on the energetics of who I am and where those came from. So when we're living in all of our thoughts, our feelings, and emotions, these are the places that stop our ease, joy, and freedom. So what else is possible here? Let me look at my clock here. So I'm just keeping time of everything. So let me take myself off the screen and let me talk about two couple things right here. All right. Oh, there's my wall here. Okay. About 8. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. Okay. When it comes to, let me see, judgment. Can anybody relate to judgment as kind of an under percolating thing that you have? Okay. Here's what's interesting about energetic addictions. We have put them in place at some time in our life because they worked. They just did. I'll speak to me. I must have put judgment into my world probably around 2 years old. I realized unconsciously, that little being that I was, that I need to figure out judging me. I need to judge everything to figure out if I'm right or wrong, good or bad, so that I can fit into this realm of my family. Okay. Of course, I didn't know what I was doing at that time, but now I can understand that. But so everything in my life had to come from the first foundation of judgment. We live in a reality. This is the energetic mastery part, is that we live in a reality of right or wrong, good or bad, right or wrong, good or bad. And when you are, let me ask this question. How many of you are sensitive? How many of you are empathic? How many of you are intuitive? How many of you are psychic? You would not be on this call if you were not. So a lot of my work really also allows us to have that first space in our, like, I wish I would have known this early in my recovery. I wish I would have known that the difference of me was actually the strongness of me. Like, you're probably here because you're different. Okay. Alcoholics, addicts, eating disorders, all of us in recovery, we are different. We're made different. We're processed different. Our energy is different. We do not we do not have a tendency to fit into a box. So have you ever had that space, like no matter what you do, you never fit in? Okay. I don't know if anybody, I mean, that's just, I think it's our gift once we realize that it's our gift. Okay. So I'm speaking to you as from that. I just got all over the place because I got so excited that had I known or opened up a place where when you're new in your recovery to go, wait a minute, I'm just actually super sensitive and I'm aware of all of these things that are happening. And because I'm aware of that, I'm now, eating more, not eating more. There's just so many levels to consciousness and awareness. But let me go back to the energetic addiction of judgment. Then, or it's a whole lot of work to fit in all of that, just like Dara said. So, judgment for me, then, as I'm going through my life, up until just recently in the last few years, I used judgment energy, I used judgment to actually create my entire life from. So you have these energetic addictions I just talked about, and they're undercurrent. They're there. We put them in to learn how to function until they don't function anymore. But these energetic addictions were not something that I could mindset away. They were not something that I could write on a piece of paper and let go of. And if one more person told me just let go of it, I was going to punch their eyeballs out because I had tried so many times to let go of shit. And if it's energetic, you can't just let it go. It is in the field. And that's the work I do with clients. And I teach you how to opt just to release that from the energetics of who you are. Now, with all of that, judgment and self, worry of fitting in, it's actually called trifold sequencing. It's part of the quantum physics. We're not going to go into all of that because we don't need to know it. But that loop, until we clear the energy of those energetic addictions, after we have some recovery, those energetic addictions become the distractions. Then there's just no ease. Okay. So one thing when we do in recovery, right, we always smash our ego. Okay. But our ego is also put in place to keep us safe. So a lot of those energetic addictions, our ego created. It's like ego, and it has these little springs all off of it, energy to keep you safe. But maybe you're at a different time and space in your life, like 25 years into recovery. And I'm like, I've done all the work, but I still feel wrong. I still felt like there's got to be something else that's easier. And then that's where I got to take a look at ego, energetic ego, from a totally different place. Does anybody have any questions with any of that? Is it making a little bit of a sense? Are we good? Are we good? Blah, 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 blah. Okay. So I'll just keep on preaching. How's that? Okay. So I wrote over here in the comment, there are 22 more energetic addictions. And are you ready to learn where the ego is holding them in place? Okay. And that's one of the things I do with the work is that number one, acknowledging them. And I think I go in that to my next slide. Okay, here we go. So if you look at these and you're like, oh crap, I'm running with a lot of fear here. Okay, that's an underlining, it's just an underlining energy until we actually clear it from the system. I do body work and I do online Zoom clearings and teach you how to do that for yourself so that's no longer looping in your system. But let me flip here. This is my little 4 A's to conscious recovery. So we have our steps, we have all of that stuff, but when it comes to the energy, is my 4 A's is awareness, allowance, ask, and action. Okay. This took me a long time to develop because it was part of my journey. I think it's something that's out there that a lot of people have already, they have their sense of this kind of 4 pillars. But I'm also here to say no one has anything new. It's just different teachers showing up with different things. Okay. That's always, everything comes from the infinite beginning of all of the work we're doing. So awareness. So if you're in a place and you're stuck with something and you look at an energetic addiction, say judgment. Okay, I have judgment. Like I could have had a lot of judgment coming on would have in years ago coming and doing one of these calls. I've been doing them for 5 years. So I've gotten through a lot of that, but I could have judged something about it. So what I do now is I have my energetic tools, and it's like, I first become aware. Okay, what am I aware of? I'm aware that I'm judging myself for whatever it is. It could be whatever. Well, I was judging my earrings. That's how simple it gets nowadays. The wrong earrings. So I had to go change my earrings. I mean, I know that sounds weird, but that was enough to hang me up. So I had an awareness. What am I judging? I'm judging me and my earrings. So I'm going to go change my earrings. What is showing up results from what you have experienced in your life and stored away. So those energetic addictions that are still rolling under there, they're old. But what is showing up in your life is what you've created. And so how cool it is that we can uncreate that. We can get ourselves out of automatic pilot, out of that place of it still looping, and go into a place of the next energetic, the next version of you through steps and through energetic mastery. And let go of those places that just aren't working anymore. So awareness, what is showing up in your life is a direct result of what it is that you're choosing. And you're usually choosing things based from your past until we learn not to choose from our past reference points. Okay. So a lot of when we get into recovery, I was working with someone yesterday who has a lot of recovery, and she was still pulling herself from past experiences and trying to create from her past to create her future. But energetically, she can only outcreate that past just a little bit. So we had to do clearing. We had to actually clear that energy so she could be aware of what she was being today to create that next step. Allowance. So first we have awareness and then allowance. I learned in 12 steps to have acceptance. Absolutely. I had to accept that my life was out of control. I had to accept that the way that I was doing stuff was not working. And that's a really big step, is when you hit like, oh my gosh, what I'm doing is not working. So acceptance is required. But then there's a part that also happens, and I think this can also be for newcomers too, is that what acceptance does energetically is it creates, when you accept something, you're accepting it, but you're not actually an allowance of it. You're fighting it. You have said, I accept that person's behavior. I accept it, but you really don't. So there's this energetic lie that's going in on your body because you've said you've accepted it, but you haven't. So it's a weird thing we do. The word I introduce to everybody is to have allowance for what they're choosing, allowance for what you're doing, allowance for what's happening in the world. We don't have to put up a boundary of acceptance. Now, when we're new, if I'm working with a client who's new, we do sometimes set up boundaries. Okay, because we're learning to find out who we are. But if we have longer term recovery and we still have boundaries around us, it's a boundary, it's a wall, an energetic wall that things that are good can't come into our lives. This is where I figured out where my money problems were. I had so many old boundaries. Every time you have a fight, an energetic boundary, you cut off from receiving. You cut off from receiving from yourself. So learn to just maybe enjoy that new word of like, I'm an allowance of what I'm experiencing. I'm an allowance of what's happening. I'm an allowance of what's going on. It's an energetic flow for your recovery, which will guaranteedly bring you ease that you didn't know was possible. Ask. The coaching that I do is to ask questions. We get into recovery and it's like, what the F is wrong with me? And spending years and years of trying to fix myself. And all of it's required in its levels that it's required. But then all of a sudden it's like, I'm trying to fix something that's not even broken here. I'm not broken. I have old patterns. I have old belief systems. I have stuff that I'm bringing up into my present, and I keep trying to fix stuff that doesn't belong to me. Okay. I'm going to talk to you about that. That was a night that doesn't belong to you. Okay. So I teach from asking questions that don't have conclusions. And this is something that you really have to learn, and you have to learn how to ask the questions. But we do live in a universe that's ask and receive, ask and receive. But if we have too many boundaries up, guess what? We can't receive anything. So this is a process of the work that I do that, it's not, nothing's just an immediate energetic clearing fix, but it's layers of how much more ease can we have if we eliminate some of that stuff that we've put into place. So ask, what if the key to everything in the universe is as easy as asking, you shall receive? Boy, I thought that was a crock for a long time until I really understood that the only reason I wasn't receiving anything was because I had cut off judgment everywhere. So I was not allowing myself to receive anything. And then I had this point of view that I had to figure out how to have anything before I actually could receive it. It was quite a journey. And action, the 4 A's, is choice. Choice is your superpower. Choice. I want you just to I know we hear people say all the time, superpowers, but choice is your superpower. I did not know that I had choice. Superpower. I didn't. I did not know that I had choice. I did things from judgment, from fear, from shame, from guilt, from whatever, until the energetics of mastery stepped in. And I was like, oh my God, everything I'm doing from my thoughts, feelings, and emotions. Okay, I'm going to tie that in, I promise. And like I said here, one of the funniest things is that from a young age, we're expected to make the right choice. But you're never really given, or you're never given any real understanding about what choice is. Understanding choice and how to choose in a way that creates more in your life is a superpower. Okay, let me go here. Let me stop here and talk to you guys for a second. Letting go of energetics. Is everybody with me? Are we good? Any questions? Okay, cool. And for all the ones that are following and watching the recording, we'll have a conversation. I'll answer any questions that you have on your growth call. So let me talk a little bit about thoughts, feelings, and emotions. Okay. We all have them, obviously. But what I want you to take a look at and become aware of, because that's consciousness, is 95% of your thoughts don't belong to you. So let me give you a funny lopsided turkey explanation of that so you understand. And if you get this, if you're following me and you're I know what you're talking about, I am aware that there are so many thoughts, feelings, emotions coming into me at all the time. That's kind of like an OCD thing. OCD is the ability for, it's unconscious, but to be able to sense things up to 800,000 things at one time. It's just energy that's coming in so many directions. So 95% of your thoughts don't belong to you. So here's the little story, and I'm not good at telling stories, but I'll do my very best on this. It's called The Lopsided Turkey. So there is this newlywed couple, and she is making her first turkey. Husband's in the kitchen with her, and she's cutting off its wings and its legs. This turkey, okay? And she's cutting it all off. I've never cooked a turkey in my life, but that's how the story goes. So she's cutting it off, chopping it off. And her new husband says, what are you doing to the turkey? And she goes, well, that's how you make a turkey. You cut off its arms, its wings, and its legs. And he goes, no, it's not. And she goes, well, that's how my mom did it. So she picks up the phone, calls her mom. Mom, I'm making my first turkey, and I am cutting off its wings and its legs just like you did. And my husband says it's not the right way to do it. That's his point of view. Okay. Your point of view, that's the way it's done. And she goes, well, that's the way grandma did it. So they call grandma, and grandma says, well, the reason I did that, sweetheart, is because our ovens were so small back then. The only way we could fit a turkey in was taking off its wings and its legs. So when I say that's 3 generations of making a turkey, the way that you think your mom did it, grandma did it, but no one ever asked, was that even your point of view? So 95% of your thoughts as energetic recovery, I haven't met somebody in recovery who is not sensitive. When you're aware and you start to go, wow, does that even belong to me? Those are the tools that you will learn from me, is who does that belong to? And then if you have a thought, then you make it into a feeling, and then your body has an emotion and your body has a feeling. And that's where I hit at 25 years of recovery, sitting in a 12-step meeting going, everything is good and I am freaking insane inside, because I hadn't learned how to deal with my sensitivity, with my ability to be empathic, which is one of the reasons I drank, besides the chemical addiction. And I was just running on everybody's information. Does that make sense to anybody? Okay. So healing energy from the generations is really, really important in our recovery journey, because otherwise we're doing stuff that isn't in alignment with us. And when we actually become energetically aligned, and there's lots of work that's required to do that. But when we do that, everything happens with so much more ease. Okay. So questions, anything, keep going. Feedback, Dara, go ahead, my love.
Can I share an awareness that I had, a generational awareness, and I had forgotten about the turkey story. That cracks me up. So I was in another talk about creating peaceful dinners. And I never had my own children, but I have grandchildren, and they were just here a couple of weeks ago. And so as you're talking about this generational turkey, and I was on this call about calm dinners and relationship with food, because although I've never been in a 12-step program, there are many I don't know how I've stayed out of, and probably, yeah, there's addicts in my family. I don't know. I said to my husband the other night, I don't know how I didn't actually get hooked on anything. I don't know if maybe I went from one to the other, and maybe it was the perfectionist that didn't, the addiction of perfection that made me not ever stick to one thing. I don't know. And I'm not going to judge that. But my point is that as I thought about my grandchildren sitting at our dinner table, and we went around the table, and I said, because one of the things that this speaker was talking about was creating connection and conversation. That was 2 of her 3 points, was connection and conversation at the dinner table. Now, I grew up in a generation where we farmed, and daddy worked and mom worked in the house. And then we all sat at dinner every night together. Me growing up. And then not having my own children, I didn't have a rhythm like that. But now when the grandbabies come, we were sitting around, and they had just started back to school, and we only get to see them about every probably 3 months. And so we went around the table, and what my awareness is that we went around the table and everybody took turns sharing like their favorite back to school thing, their favorite new subject. And then me and Papa, we got to share our new favorite thing that we're doing at the house or around the house, because they're always wanting to go in his shop and stuff. And so we were, and Elizabeth is in a new job. And so she was sharing about, and it was so sweet. And so as she's talking about this, I'm thinking, I went to gratitude for my Mima and Papa and my grandma and grandpa for all those meals around those tables for 2 decades of my life. And that even though I missed having my own children, that I can now do this. And it came second nature to me. I didn't even, but now that you're connecting the generational, and I'm
where
like,
we learn
oh
it.
my gosh, but what a blessing that I can be in gratitude about that, create that connection and carry that on, and then be aware of things that I don't want to pass on to my grandchildren.
Exactly. And that's all our energetic mastery and self-mastery. So thank you. Thank you for that. And I know Dara very well, and you may have not gone to 12-step program, but your addiction is food, my love, right? You spent your whole life healing your food, even though it wasn't a 12-step. It's where it doesn't matter where it's at, but that has been such a tremendous amount of your healing ever since I've known you. So So
Oh
thank
yeah,
you
for
for that.
sure. I had some other stuff in there along the way.
Absolutely. And that's a great example. Some of us, with the holidays coming up right now, there's tools that I teach on how to spend the holidays. Holidays are hard for anybody who's in consciousness and reality, and you're really looking at what's going on versus what everybody's pretending what's going on. Woo! When there's tools that you learn from me of like how to be in that energy with everybody and not have to resort back to an addiction. I could tell stories about being in recovery for years, but being around the insanity of my family and how to be okay within that. So, generational stuff, energetics of stuff. So let's see where we're at here in the PowerPoint. Are you guys learning some stuff? Something new, things you haven't thought about or you knew about, but a different angle of it? Okay. Well, it just said that my thing crashed. Are we good? Yeah, my Zoom came up and it says, problem, you just crashed. That would be fun, wouldn't it? But it didn't. Okay, so here we are. Okay, so we went into here and then we talked about my turkey and all of that good stuff. So there we go. Okay, so there we go. Choose consciousness and embrace ease. Okay, I wrote this down, WTF. What the heck is ease? All righty, that's the topic of my thing right now, is how to have more ease in your recovery, ease in your life, ease in your business. Here's what I know is everybody wants ease, but absolutely no one has any idea what that energy is. So first of all, if you want it, we're in a good place. But inner ease is not something any of us, how do I want to put this into words? If you want it, you're in the right place. And it's actually something you don't get. It's something you become. You become the energy of these things that you want to change. We get rid of the energetic addictions. We find out where the ego's showing up. We find all the places that we're on autopilot, where our distractors are. We have 24 distractors. And these are things that we're not talking about as much as should be, my point of view, in recovery, that would assist to having so much more ease, joy, happy, joyous, and free. These are just missing pieces that I have a passion to make sure. Everyone says they want it, but actually no one knows what it is until you start the journey of consciousness, awareness, and starting to learn how to, like I just said, out of all the thoughts, feelings, and emotions, you will not find the ease that is possible for you. So I wonder what is possible for you today. So, one of the things that I do teach, and you will learn more, and I didn't think we would have time to go into it, and I don't really want to totally dive into that right now, but I do have a picture of it, and I live by it, is I teach a lot about the themes of consciousness. I've studied it. I love it. I wish I would have known what I know now, which is why I like to share it now. The themes of consciousness is this beautiful graph, okay? And to make it so simple is we live in a 3D reality, a 4D reality, and a 5D reality. When we come into recovery, we are at the bottom of the 3D. Okay. We are wrapped up. I'm going to speak for everybody because that's how everybody comes in. Have a tendency to be doing the energy, being the energy, which you've labeled yourself as that. Okay. Part of the process is a lot of that energy doesn't belong to you, but you've bought it as yours. That's part of the healing process energy. It's shame, guilt, judgment, hopelessness, grief, fear, desire, anger, and pride. These are the lower energies. These are thoughts, feelings, and emotions. So let me explain. I think therapy is very important. I could not have gotten to where I was without therapy. So don't get me wrong. But the energetic health is also, it's like so important. I just watched a talk the other day. I don't know if I just said that. And she talked about all the elements of self-care, but she didn't mention the energetic element. It's like the number one thing. Everything is energy. And especially for some of us who are so sensitive, if we don't have energetic health, things are wacky and we're not having the ease. So in that 3D, these energies, recovery is about how do I get you up here? How do we let go? How do we get out of the autopilot? How do we get out of suffering, ego, victim, abuser? That's all these lower energies. And even in the prime of my recovery, I was still walking around with that inner, I think I talked about it, just that, like I could not get it to go away with any of the modalities that everybody was telling me how to do. Therapy required. But here's what therapy does different than energy work. Therapy, you probably have heard the layers of the onion. Okay. You go through the layers. So I spent 10 years in therapy. It was a lot of money. Saved my life. But we kept looping over the same shit. And I needed it, but it got to the point where we were just peeling layers of the onion. Okay. I teach a lot about the importance of the words that we use, because words actually have a vibration on them. So the things that we are saying, we are actually creating in our lives. And one of the words that you could walk away with today is, if I'm going to start a podcast someday that or write a book that says, stop asking why. Every time you ask why, that is not a real question. That's a question that has a judgment, which has a conclusion. And when you ask why, the W, it circles and it goes right back down to the problem. A why is always a problem. I coach and teach not from problem. The problem exists. Let's out-create the problem. The problem keeps us stuck. Sometimes, yes. Why? A question with resistance to answer. Yep, circles right back. Why is this happening? You're never going to get yourself out of the loop. Okay. So when I teach and coach, my questions when I work with somebody is, what would you like to get out of this call today? What would you like to get out of this session today? What would you like to get out of this conversation? The situation of the problem will come somewhere in there, but I'm not here to help you heal the problem. The problem has just been created so that you can label it something and then get stuck in the loop of it. So the layers of the onion is not the work I do. I go with you and we cut it right at the roots. We clear it. Energy's that fast. Everything that doesn't allow you to not be the energy of ease, would you destroy and uncreate it? I mean, energy, ask and receive. Everything that doesn't allow me to have ease right now, I destroy and uncreate it. Everything that doesn't allow it. And you say it a couple times until all of a sudden your energy gets lighter and lighter and lighter. That is not a question of what the fuck is wrong with me. It is like, how much more ease can I have with this situation that's creating so much, things in my life? So we ask from question. So then the 4D is one of the things I really do focus on with getting us up to this place on here, which is the energy of courage, neutrality, willingness, acceptance, and reason and logic. It has more space. It's self-empowerment. And of course, do we go up and down? Yeah, but when you actually know, again, that's something I wished I would have known, that I want people in recovery to know, is that where am I? Like, am I just acting on emotions and thoughts and feelings because that's what my son had and Alan, as Al-Anon? Am I vibing with his stuff because that's what I am, sensitive? Or have I learned how to have my own space, go to where I am, and he can have his own? And then whether you go to meetings or not is everybody else, that's your own thing. But there, with the themes of consciousness, I didn't learn this until about 5 years ago. When they study the themes of consciousness and they give all of these things numbers like shame and guilt, fear, it resonates in an energy vibration of about 20 to 75. Okay. So tight, constricted, problems, no solution, living around, I call it crunchy. That's how I was. Life was fantastic. And I still walking around all crunchy. Okay. Arthritis, I could barely move any of my joints because I had taken in so much in such good recovery, but it was all energy. So, in the themes of consciousness, and he studies at Hawkins, is that in the rooms, in the healing rooms, they study the rooms of 12 steps. Again, I don't care if you go or you don't go, but what happens is the vibration in a 12-step room goes up to 500 because there's hope, there's laughter, there's unconditional, because in 12 steps, it's unconditional love. It really is, because everybody is in the space of experiencing the same experience. So I am an advocate in my journey that 12 steps, if you don't have a place to go, or a coach or a therapist, whatever, people in your life that can take you out of those lower thoughts, feelings, and emotions. And when you go to a meeting, you're like, you feel so different, feel great. But then there's something that happens at meetings too. For a sensitive, for an empath, a highly sensitive person, whatever you want to call all of us, because none of us, we didn't have names for any of that. We do now today. When you go to a meeting and you left a meeting and you felt like shit, you felt worse than you did when you walked in. I got really aware of that way early in my recovery, but I didn't know what it was. Well, I'm a psychic sponge. Most recovery people are. We just take information in. We're just buying everybody's stuff. And then you walk out and you're super heavy. And I used to say, I love the meetings. I love my women. I got to talk. I feel better, so much better, but I feel like crap. And what it was I was taking on everybody's energy, period. And so I had to learn the tools. I actually had to stay away for a little while from meetings. I had very good recovery at that time, but I had to figure out, can I go and I had to learn everywhere to be everywhere and not be an open conduit for everybody. So those are the tools that I teach when it comes to energetic mastery. There's hundreds of tools that I teach that everybody needs to have, that I think we should have all gotten when we were little, but our parents weren't capable. But if you have children and grandchildren and so forth, you can incorporate these very pragmatic tools, just like, who does it belong to? Like, and the question of like, seriously asking, how much more ease can I have with this? That will change the transformation of what's going in your life, not what's wrong with me, what else is possible here? Because then it pops open up a new space in your world, because you don't have an answer. I don't want answers. That's what's hard for a lot of us. We're control. We want to know the answer. We want to predict it so that I can make sure that I know that it's right or it's wrong. But consciousness is about, I'm going to ask a question. I'm not going to have an answer, but I'm going to be in the space so that awareness pops into my life. So that's a little bit about themes of consciousness. It's really important in our own transformational growth work and in the work that I teach as well. Okay, any questions on any of that? We good? You're a very quiet group today, but that's okay. I love quiet. Quiet means, from my point of view, that you're absorbing it all. And I'm just going to take it as that's what's happening here. Okay. And so then my last little slide to connect with you guys here is the fun part. Not that all of it hasn't been fun and hopefully transformational, and learning is the key to breaking free from autopilot, unconscious energetic emotions and distractions is how to learn how to shift your energy and in turn your consciousness. And that's where I work with clients one-on-one, and an upcoming group for women in recovery will be doing a whole 12-week series of how to get out of all these patterns and so forth. I'm not going to go into the details of the program because we can do that on a call. But when you move beyond the addictive emotions of survival, like doubt, shame, fear, and angst, just to name a few, into the elevated energy of creation and ease, you'll start to experience a new reality, and you will. The lower heavy energies of what I just talked about, of 3D living, keep you stuck. But by stepping you into a 4D, 4-dimension, don't let any of that weird you out. I mean, like 5 years ago, no one was ever talking about that, even though it was. But that's just the energetic levels of awareness, of consciousness. And we will go into unlocking that next version of you. And and it will be done in a way you've probably never done any type of growth work before. And hold on, and it's time to break free and rise into a new level of consciousness. The next chapter of your life in recovery with so much more ease, space, and what are you waiting for? So what I have over here is, what's your next step? I would love to share more with you. I would love to work with more people. I would love to help women in recovery and in business, and that's what I do. And all of that is to have more understanding of who you are on an energetic level. And who you are on an energetic level is everything that you are. So I created this little code thing. I don't even know what it's called, but you put your phone up to it and you take a photo of it. And I would love for you all to schedule your free growth call with me. And what will happen in a growth call with me is we're going to just have a girlfriend chat. Okay. I want to know what's going on in your life. I want to share with what I have that's available that might take you onto your next steps. And I have a special gift, which I just made. I'm so excited. I created a quiz, and it's called a distraction detox, and it's really awesome. And so if you schedule your 30-minute session with me, which sometimes they go longer because it's not a rigid form thing, but it's like just, getting to know each other and see what's possible next. In the distraction detox quiz, you'll take the quiz and then we'll go over your results. And our distractions are another number one thing that we don't even know they're there, especially ADD, ADHD, whatever they have a neurodivergent word for it, whatever it is now, that is popping us all over the place, which is totally keeping us from the ease, joy, and glory and happiness that's available. So we'll look at your test results, pretty simple, but where can we, what can we do differently? So I'd love for you guys to book your session with me right now. And while you're doing that, I'm going to flip really quick. The girls, I think, have popped in the link too in the chat, but I love this little thing because you can just do that. I'm also going to stay on afterwards to answer any questions. And even if you wanted to do your 30-minute call, we have time to do that. I wanted to share here some testimonies. I am not skilled at sharing stories of my clients, but I have them because the work that I do is so dynamic and it's so fast. Like, that's why in therapy, you could spend 2 years working on one particular layer of the onion. And in 15 minutes, I'm not joking, we have cleared that energy. So what I did was on my website on lynnaeann.com, I have lists of testimonies from clients. But so I just thought I would do it this way. I work with women from all over the spectrum. Michelle Costas is a business coach. Kate Ortiz, she's a teacher, mother of 2. They kind of talk about their transformation, the valuable tools. You'll find that all. And I've taught them all energetic mastery. Brooke Jenkins, independent certified health coach. She's been working with me for about 2 years right now. And then there's our Dara, who's actually live with us today. I probably need a new upgraded testimony from you. But since I've been working with Dara, she has started 2 brand new companies who are both doing very successful. She is now a joyful mindset money coach. And she's worked with me for almost 5 years. And we have mastered our energy and self-growth together. So people change. I mean, that's kind of conceited to say that, but I'm a catalyst for change. So when you come into my space, you will change, you will have transformation. And so a lot of people don't choose to work with me because it means you're going to change. So I'm not offended by that anymore. But I used to be, I'm like, can't they see that we can help them? And it's like, no, interesting point of view. Not everybody's ready for the change. So I'm going to flip you to the next page. And again, if you haven't booked your session with me, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, whatever we do, where I'm going to do the detox, distraction detox, we'll review the test, and I've opened up that. So, Dara, yes, ma'am.
Mitch is asking, because she's in Australia with the time, can you send the quiz? Might be a bit hard, but can, and then she could send the results, but can you guys work on that offline or help coach her
Yeah.
as to where to go for that?
For
So we
sure.
can equip her.
Mitch, when you, for all of you, it will coordinate to what time you're in when you go onto my link. You just tell what time zone. So it will book that time for you. And once you book it, I'll get a notification that we have some time together. And then I'll send you the link for the detox, distraction detox. Okay. So once you book that little appointment with me, that session, you'll get the link and then we'll have our conversation together. All righty. Okay. So we're ready to wrap it up, but I would love, you've got me here, you've got some questions. I'm sure when I get off this call, I'll be like, oh my God, I forgot to talk about that. And I forgot to talk about that. But is there anything right now that anybody would like some facilitation with or has any questions? I'm here. Coaching with me, energetic coaching right now.
Who's brand new to you here?
Artie's new, Mitch is new, and Michelle, Karen, Karen, I don't know her as well. Mitch, I see that you might have, not to put anybody on the spot by any means, but you got me. You got me. Otherwise, you got to pay for me. Get me while you can. Get me while you can.
I'm just going to tell the three of you, Mitch, Karen, and Artie, I would take her up on this. If you want her to facilitate you live right now, I would do it if you have a question or something. I have been with her for almost 5 years and we've known each other for over 20. And so
living the dream.
Living the dream.
We're finally living the dream in
but
alignment.
If y'all have a question about anything she's talked about today, it's worth it. I mean, the first time I did a facilitation call with her, I about freaked out. I was like, I don't even know what you're saying, but it's changed my life in every way. I mean, completely in every arena of my life. So it's fun. When you get her for free, I grab her for free.
So Mitch, do you have a question for me? It's just girlfriends hanging out right now. When you're on your phone, sometimes it's so hard to figure out the button to unmute.
Mitch, are you trying to unmute? Maybe I can.
There, she got it.
I've got it.
Okay. Sometimes it's so hard. Hey, girl, you're so courageous for coming on this call.
I was just wondering about the energetic healing, the changes.
Meaning, what's your question?
How does that actually work?
How does it work? Okay.
Yeah. Well, because I haven't in the 12-step program.
No, right. No, because it is a separate thing. But in your recovery, wherever you are right now, if we were just having a session with each other, you might come to me with a question of like, how do I get more ease in my life?
Yes.
Okay, I'm putting words in your mouth, but that's kind of the topic of here. So let me ask you, from what you've picked up and learned today, is there any tools or anything that you learned today that you can apply to your life that will create some more ease in your life? Is there anything that you've taken away today?
I have taken away a fair bit.
Okay. Sometimes
I've written like 5 pages.
Okay. I do dump a lot of information. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and I was writing very quickly.
Okay. So ask me.
Yeah, just about clearing the energy.
Okay.
How I do a lot of meditation now and I do a lot of mindfulness.
Cool.
Is that on the way to helping me clear?
It's all on the way. All of it's important. The difference is the tools and the work that I do with a client and that you learn how to do is that all of that is helpful. But there is the energetics of who you are at the core. So is there something, if I can facilitate you with something right now, is there something, hold on, let me look at the energy. So everywhere right now that you also are worried, any of us, like you have to do this right or wrong, or that you're missing something. Okay. Would you just have some more ease with that? Okay. because sometimes we go into, that's just a thing we do. It's part of the energetic addictions, is like, I got to get this right. How do you do this? And then if I don't do it right, then there's something wrong with me. Okay. The thing with energy, it's a learned, we don't, no one's taught it to us. And it's one of the most important things. So first of all, you just walking away from the call today, and we'll do another, book an appointment, is that, are you more aware of your energy than you've ever been before today?
Yeah, yes, I am actually. What
Okay.
my story is, I'm ex-military, so in the military, naturally you drink. I've done a few overseas war service tours, which when I got home, I drank heavily to block all of that out.
Okay.
And 5 months ago, I went into a rehab clinic for a month. And today, actually, I go every Thursday to an addictive behaviours course, which does reinforce what you learned in the hospital to keep you on the straight and narrow. So I've got that. After this, I'll get up and get dressed to go to that.
Great. Okay. Cool.
Yeah. So I'm kind of still in the stage of, I drive past the bottle shop and I just think, oh, I could do with a drink. No, don't.
I know.
I've got to kind of talk myself out of it, so that maybe that bringing more energy into my life and that situation will give me the strength to,
Well, what I would
you know,
for you being so new, I'm a firm believer you've got to have some type of support system.
yeah,
You've got your meeting where that you're going to, who's your sponsor, who's your
yep, I have that.
got to have that, because that's still the core for brand new. But from an energetic conscious awareness today, if you were just to walk away with those 4 A's to mastery,
Yes,
is like, in that moment, when you're looking at something, the food, the clothes, the whatever, what am I aware of right now? Because what I'm trying to get you also to
yep,
do is to connect with your body just a little bit, get out of your head into the body, and to say, what am I aware of right now? Why am I thinking to go stop and get a drink? It's an
yeah,
old 12-step saying, think it through. And we literally only have a split second before we choose something. And every 10
yeah,
seconds, we have a choice. And every 10 seconds, we can change our mind. It's quicker than that, but we like to say in every 10 seconds. But the 4 A's could be something to add to your program. Is like, what am I
yeah,
aware of right now? Am I an allowance of it? Or am I going to beat the shit out of myself because I'm thinking this? Alcoholics drink. That's
yes,
what we do. So
mm-hmm,
if you go into overeaters, anorexics, we do food. So when we go into the shame and the judgment of ourselves, it
yes,
locks us up. What I want you to have is allowance, like, oh my God, okay, I'm an alcoholic because I've decided I have an eating disorder. Okay, I'm aware of that. Okay,
yep,
so I'm an allowance of it. I'm not going to judge myself. Now I'm going to ask a question. And at that time, it's like, what do I need to do in my new sobriety to get me from here to there? Call my sponsor, do that. Okay, I'm taking you right to the basics. Somebody who has long-term
yeah,
recovery, different. And then the action. Okay, so the action is what you just did. Picked up the phone, you walked yourself through the process. It's just, that kind of stuff is just it's what we learn in whatever program, and OA, AA, DA, and all that, what those steps are to get you from here to here. But I'm asking you to at least be aware of your energy and who you be
yes,
while that's happening. Okay. And most of all, not judging yourself while you're doing it.
yeah, that's the problem.
Does that help? Because
Yes,
your
very much
question
so.
is very wide. And
Yeah,
so, I'm not here to say that energy work by any means, what I do is going to end any of that stuff, because that's not
no,
what it
but
does. It's
I
part of our systems. It's addressing our health, health and the energetics of who we are. Okay. So I hope that helped.
yeah,
Book a
I
session
like
with me.
the
Yeah.
be aware of your complete self. Yes.
Yeah. And the complete self, who you are right now, is living from all of your old past experiences.
Yes.
So with the work, when we get into recovery, whatever that work looks like, we're shedding all of it. But are we shedding the energy of it? And most of people aren't. And then we get to the point later in recovery and we're like, oh my gosh, I should have also done the energy healing work with that. Okay. So that's where I teach, like, I don't know, there's like 60 pragmatic tools that you can learn about your energy. In the 12-week course that I do have coming up, we will have each particular, like, how to do that, how to become the next embodied version of who you are. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Cool.
I'll
Okay,
look out for that.
Thank you for that. I
No worries.
appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I'll see you on your call and we'll go from there. Anybody else? Artie, you're a professional, I think. Right? Are you a counselor? Oh, you went back on mute because I just have to meet you.
Yes, I actually do coach leaders that are in recovery. So
Cool.
I wanted to be here to support you.
I love that.
And yes, I do have a background in substance abuse counseling too, as well. Yeah.
Good. We're glad to
Yeah,
have you
great
here.
to be here.
And
Yeah.
just to share with this, I have been coaching for 5 years full time. And I have never, this is my first call where I just chose to talk recovery. Because all of my women in leadership, I teach, really my forte is in network marketing, coming from 25 years in network marketing. All of my clients are in recovery. So
That's awesome.
Well, you know how that is. We attract that, but it was like, this was going to be, I'm going to pivot a little bit and really speak to women strictly in recovery from that, and also have the business. So, well, yeah. So I'm just like trying something out new, to a whole new place where you don't have to be in business, but you can still get the tools and education from me. So glad to have you. Glad to have you as a new friend.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Good job.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay. Mina, thank you for your help. You guys have dropped the link in. Has everybody booked their session for the distraction detox test, the quiz? Yep. And if you didn't, you're going to get an email from me with the link, because I'm going to make sure you did. Alrighty, thank you for dropping that in. And one last person, Corinne, whatever. Glad to have you. We didn't get to see your beautiful face, but glad you were here. And to all the others that will be getting this recording, thank you for listening all the way through. And I'll be excited to answer questions on your growth call and wherever our next journey takes us, and my Facebook groups and all of that. All righty.
Karen just came off mute. She might want to say something.
Oh, yay.
Oh, I just wanted to say thanks, and I'm looking forward to your email. There's a lot for me to digest, and I need to look at how it's going to help me.
Okay, that sounds beautiful. I appreciate you just topping in and saying hello. All righty, all of you beautiful souls, go out, be out, wild, crazy, weird, and fabulous and brilliant that you are, and take you and your energy everywhere that you go. So peace out. Love y'all.
Thanks.
Bye. Let me end it. Oh, no, I got to end because I think